Hey Siri, it's showtime. What's up, everybody? How many of you have been told that the normal route is grade school, high school, college, and you find a job? Like that's the only path. That's the American path. That's the only way you go. I was always told that, and I didn't think there was any other way around it. And what's worse is I was the first person in my family to have the opportunity to go to college, and so it was almost like I was expected to do it, like I owed it to the family, like I owed it to the generations before me to go to school. How many of you out there were told the same thing? And how many of you feel like that's the only route that you have to take? My name is Matt with Elevating Yourself, and today we're going to be putting college up against self-education or trade. I think it's a good argument. I think kids at that stage in their life can be a little bit confused and not sure what the best path is. And so I think it's going to be a very good discussion on what the best route to take is. So why should you go to college? Well, college is going to offer things like structure and a curriculum. Curriculum. It's going to have a curriculum. Words lost all meaning. It's also going to give you experiences with deadlines and offer credentials. Also, when you're going to college, I think it's a little bit easier to network with people because it's such a big organization, and you have access to things like alumni. You have access to maybe recruiters and instructors that can give you maybe a little more direction in your life. And as much as I hate to admit it, there is a social validation to going to college. There's going to be doors that only open up to you because you have a college degree. And not only that, but there's also going to be professions out there that you need to have a college degree for. Doctors, lawyers, things of that nature. You need to have that. And there's going to be companies that look at degrees as a way of showing how disciplined you are, that you can go through a 2 or a 4-year course and get a college degree, and you can put forth the effort. So that person is going to put forth the effort in my company as well. So what about those that want to be self-taught or maybe get into a trade or use a skill? There are a lot of free programs out there like MIT's OpenCourseWare and YouTube that give people the ability to learn things the way they want to be learning. And it gives them a lot more relevance to the topics that mean a lot to them. And I think that's the tough thing with college. You may not think you need things like algebra or some of these other courses that are offered to you. And so doing this route gives you the complete control into what you want to do. Not to mention, there are financial benefits to being self-taught or going for a trade. Aside from the free courses that might be out there for you, if you decide you want to get into a trade, you might have to get a certification. And going for a certification is far less expensive than a college degree. I don't know if you've ever seen the comparison they've done with plumbers and doctors. Some of you might be thinking that's the stupidest thing to compare things to because a doctor's a doctor and a plumber's a plumber. But I don't know if you've ever looked at them side by side. First off, in order to be a plumber, most of the time you can start working right away. You're usually doing it as an apprentice, but after several years, you can take a test and become a master plumber. Whereas with a doctor, you're going to have 4 years of college that are probably going to be primarily done in math and sciences. After taking the MCATs and hopefully scoring really good with them, you've got to apply for med school. And depending on the med school you get to, that's another 4 years that you're going to be in that med school. From there, you're going to spend the next 3 to 7 years in residency, getting an understanding of how hospitals work. And then if you decide you want to be a specialist, you might have to do 2 to 3 years in that field as well. But that is a long time that somebody's going to spend getting into their career. And when you look at the comparison, take a look at this chart right here. By the time you are done with school, a doctor is already going to be about $300,000 in debt. At the same time, if you were a plumber, you could potentially have a net worth of over $200,000. Now, as the years go on, yes, the doctor will eventually have more net worth, but it isn't until about 45 years old. Think about the things that you would have been able to do in your life as a plumber if you were able to bring that salary in. Now, again, this may be atypical results, but still, it's a good way of looking at how just because you didn't go to college doesn't mean you can't have a great life, doesn't mean that you can't have a great career. And although the doctor does have a much larger net worth as his life goes on, You as a plumber could do things like start your own business, start your own franchise, things like that can also grow your wealth that much more. Now, there are some common misconceptions that people get about both of these areas. First, with self-educators, guess what? It's not easy, not even close. You have to have a lot of self-discipline in order to get to the goals that you have set for yourself. And for colleges, they aren't inherently bad. It's just how you're able to use your college degree. And the tough thing is that degrees don't guarantee jobs. And I think the other tough thing with colleges is that you don't know what you want to do at 20 or 22 years old. Your ideas, your thoughts might change, and it is tough when you've already committed to a degree path. And when looking at some of the statistics, I think it was like a third of students will actually change their majors along the path in their college years. And even 10% of those will change it multiple times. And so it's almost thinking about, could college be more benefited from people later in life? So how do you make the best choice for you? I think there are 4 things that you can do that at least might help you along the lines. First, think about your career path. Do you need credentials or a portfolio? Then think about your learning style. Do you thrive in structure or do you like autonomy? Then think about your financial situation. Is debt manageable or is it crushing? And then finally, think about your ability to network, communicate, and apply what you learn. I don't think that these are the only things that you need to think about, but I think this at least gets you on a path to figure out what is best for you. And if you don't get into college, if you don't start doing the things that are going to set yourself up for a career down the line right away at that age, then I don't think you're doing anything wrong. And so don't be so hard on yourself. Thanks so much for watching today. So what are your thoughts? Where do you see yourself? What do you think the successes come from in your life? And I think that's the important thing. I don't think that looking at this path as one path that you have to go down is the only way to think about it. And I think that there are a lot of people out there that kind of like meld those two together. You'll see people that with college degrees or went to college to at least get some coursework done, and then you have people that are self-taught that learn from that way, and they kind of put those two together and they make a great life for themselves. And that's the thing, is that don't just go down one path. Don't just look at people out there and say, that's the path that I have to take. Don't just listen to your family and say, you know what, my dad did it, my mom did it, they expect me to do it. The expectation lies within yourself. Think about the things that are going to make you the most successful and start working at that. If you haven't had a chance, do me a favor, check out some of the videos I've got posted. I'll link a couple of them here. Remember, elevating yourself to the next level doesn't necessarily start with college, and it doesn't necessarily start with being self-taught, but it starts with a single step. Take your step today. We'll see you next time.